Oh, baby. Woo. So nice and toasty.
It's toast-ish.
It feels like nice and cozy.
It's like the warmest room in the water right now, dude.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
That was weird.
Oh, wow, that was F sharp minor. That was perfect. Yeah. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer, find out why. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Fellas, it is good to be back.
Hey, Adam, how are you, man?
I missed you guys, man.
Haven't seen you in a while.
I know. And the Nuggets, I've been wanting to talk to somebody about them. Nobody will listen.
Well, the chat doesn't want you here because they're on a roll. And as you know, they associate that directly with who's been at the studio and who hasn't.
If they do lose to this terrible Sixers team, like, oh my God.
You'll be banned
I'll
from the show.
jump off the bridge myself. We got a great show for you today, man. Hangover takes from a very fun game last night. I got to rewatch. I watched like half of it live and then went for a rewatch. Always fun when you do the rewatch. We're going to talk updated brightest timeline. Woo. I'm so glad we're talking brightest timeline again.
It's been a while.
It has, because when they're struggling, you're like, brightest timeline.
Well, we were talking darkest timeline a month and a half ago. That's part of it.
And then I have some how many's. How many triple doubles, triple duos? We're going to talk about that because at the moment I feel like it's going to be a million, and then a little MVP discourse to help me out. Brendan Vogt is in the house.
Thanks. I don't think I'm going to win the MVP this year, but I hope that I'm just at least in the conversation. You know what I mean?
You're in the conversation.
They have sixth place. Go like Tatum, 4th or 5th place, and I'm good.
Donovan Mitchell, like team's doing well, but we got to give
Kevin Love that
someone.
1 year in Minnesota. You know?
Yeah, Kevin Love in Minnesota. He was dope that
He
year,
was
though.
unbelievable.
Actually.
Yeah, he was really good.
Jokic before Jokic, kind of. D-Line's in the house.
That's right, guys. Yeah, hey, listen. Guys, I have been living in the brightest timeline for some time.
Really?
Yes, when I was away for 2 weeks, we've been 2 ships in the night.
That is true. I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's been nice, hasn't it?
It has been really nice.
It's been nice.
I look young.
Yeah, dude, I've gone full Benjamin Button while you were gone. I've been, all of my my confidence is growing back. Let's erode it. Let's go.
I mean, the Nuggets are so fun, man, and you almost forget it when they're doing the up and down roller coaster thing. You almost forget, but when they put it together, you're like, oh my God, that's right. These guys are awesome.
Dude,
and we're
they're
in
the
an
best.
awesome moment right now.
Bro.
We're in a super awesome moment. And the best part is I do feel like a lot of people are still sleeping. You know, you poke around the other podcasts to see what are they talking about. Not the Nuggets.
Let's just hope for once the NBA does not become woke to the Nuggets. They don't wake up.
For once. We're going to start off today. I don't know where to go with some of the... Sometimes he throws you one here. Like,
Yeah, I do that all the
I
time.
don't know what
I
to
love
do.
that. And then I love to hear the uncomfortable laughter that somehow I won't get blamed for, but you will.
I've been hosting the show for a week, so I understand what you mean.
It's like, you throw a lob to Pickett. He's like, what am I doing? I don't know what to do up here.
It's like DeAndre when Russ throws it. He's like, what year do you think it is?
And then everyone's mad at DeAndre. He's like, why couldn't you catch that? That's awesome.
His back hurts. Let's go straight to Hangover takes, Kale, shall we? Let's go to the Hangover right there. How could we be hungover with these Nuggets, man?
Because we're still drunk.
It's true. I'll start us off because I wasn't on the show yesterday. I have a couple of them I'll throw at you, and I'm curious what you guys think. My first one here, Jokic is unsurprisingly phenomenal in this game.
Oh, just that one.
I don't know if you guys noticed that or talked about it on the show, but he was really good. But he was kind of locked in. Jokic seemed like he was a little extra locked in. And do you guys think it was a little bit because Wendell Carter Jr.? I just wonder if there's, I know this is a crazy take. Wendell comes out, hits a three, he hits a jumper, he kind of has his chest out, he's doing some stuff. He's been a bit of a Jokic stopper, if there is such a thing. But I almost wonder if Jokic was like, you know what, I got to teach this guy that he doesn't bother me at all.
I love where your head's at. I'm going to say Jokic is above proving things to Wendell Carter Jr.
I don't think he knows who he is.
But
That's probably true.
But he certainly was locked in on defense, wasn't he? And I feel this is hardly my own unique take, but I think when Jokic is playing defense, this team can actually play defense. Yeah. And
It's so true.
I understand that why, actually, and that he's not going to do that 82 games a year. But there are nights, for whatever reason, to your point, this was one of them where he just goes, I'm doing it. I'm not waiting until the fourth. I'm actually going to play defense right now. And when he does, Denver has a higher ceiling and a higher floor.
I think the defense part too, like, I mean, this hasn't been a good defensive year for Yoke, and I do think it's because he's had to carry so much of the load. But we have seen in that one 45-piece Murray had, his defense was really good. And I do think it's almost like where do I have to use my energy reserves?
Yes.
And when they're a little bit lower, then the defense can be a little bit higher. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I love he's just becoming more active with his hands too. And not in the way that you want your center typically to do. Like usually when I'm getting frustrated with Jokic, it's just like he won't even put his hands up to try to just be in the way of the shooter. But he's in full Cookie Monster mode. He's just swiping and like getting in passing lanes, and he's just like a lot more active. And it's cool. It's effective.
You don't, but what about the Wendell Carter piece?
Yeah, let's get back
I can't believe you guys just laughed this off. This was a real take. This wasn't a joke take to start. I honestly think because Wendell Carter had a great 5 minutes, to start the game, and I kind of feel like Yoke's like, okay, you know what, Wendell Carter, come on.
I don't think I'm of the opinion. When I said I don't think he literally knows who he is. I think he's just like, oh, it's a guy or whatever. And then
he definitely knows who Wendell Carter is. Yoke knows more people than you think because he's name dropped some players sometimes where I'm always kind of because I would think the same thing, and he's name dropped guys where I'm like, oh, I didn't think you would have known that guy by name, like Nick Richards or something.
Eric Weedham.
Eric Weedham, he's dropped that one a lot. My other note here: the second quarter lineup. I love the experimentation that's going on with Aaron Gordon on the bench, but the second quarter lineup when you roll out AG, DeAndre Jordan, and Peyton Watson is rough, and they lost those minutes by a lot. I think I'm so high on the Nuggets' playoff rotation because I think that they've solved a lot of things, and they have 7 guys that I really trust. So this isn't so much a playoff concern, but it is there's some trios that you look at and go, how is that ever going to score? All 3 of those guys can play the dunker spot comfortably, but none of them can really play outside comfortably. And you have 3 of them. And they go to that lineup, and it was one of the low points of the game, the start, and then that stint. Everything else was aces. And I just don't know, as much as I think Malone's doing a great job with these rotations. We're unlike anything else we've been seeing, but that trio is one that I don't know if you can avoid it, but I also don't have much faith that it'll work, ever.
Yeah.
DeAndre, AG, Peyton Watson?
The spacing is certainly not great there. And to your point, in the postseason, you probably just take DeAndre Jordan out of that.
Yeah.
So what is it? Julian Strawther's one of the other guys out there, right, in that scenario. And I do think
Jamal, I think.
Yeah.
I think Jamal.
Jamal. Shout out to our guy, Matt Brooks, Nuggets.com, who pointed this out. They do, there's some inverted pick and roll, the empty side they'll do with Julian and AG, which is kind of fun. But it's also mostly because that's what it takes to get some kind of spacing and room for anyone to operate in that lineup. Eventually, they do get back to, Jamal and Mike out there alongside AG. Those minutes I think we like a lot. But I understand what your concern is there with those 3 together. Offensively, it doesn't feel like a 2025 look.
And it even puts a lot of pressure on Julian, right? Because in that lineup, you need him to make shots. It's not like it's a luxury. You need that guy to score. And I made this note on Twitter the other day. I think Peyton Watson defensively has been great. That game, he was a monster till he got hurt. I hope he's okay. I hope this is not a thing that he has to miss a lot of games. But he is the only player in the rotation, besides DeAndre, who doesn't play very much at all, but he's the only, of the top 8 guys that plays 5-minute stints at a time. It's always 5 minutes, and then you're out, and then 5 minutes, and you're out. And when you're a role player, especially he's the 5th option when he's out there most of the time, you might touch the ball 1 time, maybe 2 times. Yeah. You might get a shot, and I think his defense has been great, and you can go out there and play defense. That doesn't really need rhythm as much, but offense does. And I think you have to almost adjust expectations for no player would ask for 5-minute intervals. If you gave everybody their option, they would be like, please.
I bet Shaquille O'Neal did at some point in his career.
Yeah, Joel Embiid maybe every now and then. But 5 minutes it's just tough to catch a rhythm as an offensive young player figuring out your footing when you literally touch the ball once a stint and then go 20 minutes, 25 minutes of real lifetime before you get back on the court.
Yeah, I don't know. I got lost in the chat a little bit.
Are they talking about Jamal again?
I mean, it's just I can't believe some of the conversations we're having. We're on such a high. Things are going great.
Yeah.
What do we do? Come on.
You have to let people be. You can't. It's like the ocean. You can't bottle it up. The people are their things.
Yeah, I think I can also not visit it. Just go to the mountains instead.
Here's another hangover take just to keep it moving. Westbrook's turnovers against playoff defense may be a concern.
Yeah.
Westbrook's been phenomenal. But if you look at his highest turnover games last night against a good Orlando's a good defense. Boston, Memphis, Houston, Orlando. Those are like in the playoffs, those windows get tighter, and he's so good at threading the needle. But I'm not saying I think one way or another. But last night it popped up on my radar of against the good defenses, he's had his worst turnover games. And
a big part of Denver's math problem is not you got to get your twos, and every time you turn it over, you're taking that away from yourself, right? And I actually think it is a real concern. Is it such a concern that it outweighs all the things I'm excited about what Westbrook brings to the table? Not necessarily, no. I think Westbrook's been good, and I actually think right now I'm optimistic about postseason Russ. But yes, I think turnovers for the team are one of those ways that it just feels like it's a controllable factor. And when they put a lid on it, they're a great team. And when they don't, they can lose, especially these teams that turn you over frequently. So the right ratio of how much Russ when everyone is healthy is still something I think they'll search for the rest of the year.
See, for me, it's like I look at Russ's addition as the solve to one of the obvious problems that the Nuggets ran into in the playoffs, which is just people full court press Jamal,
totally.
give physicality to him. And it's like you're just burning energy on absolutely nothing. And it's just very easy to have Russell Westbrook bring the ball up. First off, he cannot tire him out. And, like he doesn't have to start off every set. He doesn't have to get the offense moving. It's really, he just has to get the ball off to, Jokic, maybe pass it off to Jamal, and then also look for cuts and just kind of create havoc. So I think that there's a little bit still of trying to find that balance, especially now that Jamal is more forward in his position in the offense. Like he's doing things where he doesn't just have to pass off because he can't get by his guy. He's actually creating a little bit more, and it's creating a little bit of a confusion for what Russ's role is in that scenario, because the Nuggets, by default, they're just go back to that two-man game dynamic all the time. So I think there's going to be a little bit of learning throughout the rest of the year, but I think it's just the winning combination of just having that safety outlet of being able to take the ball out of Jamal's hands and conserve energy, if nothing else.
There's no question that that's needed, but my point is really more that his turnovers can come in bunches. And that's what happened yesterday, is he had 3 in a row that were unforced. And it's one of those ones where it's in playoffs, the rotations are going to be on point for the most part, especially when you get to the second, third round finals. Rotations are on point, and it's 3 turnovers. That Denver was down 10 points to start this game, and it's man, that's how quickly things could spiral out.
But I guess my point to that was I think that he's still trying to do a little too much in the context of the offense. He's trying to push it more than he needs to, and he'll be able to maybe pick his spots a little bit better.
My last take on Jamal here, and we're going to talk about him here next. In fact, maybe I'll just use this to set the table, but it's not necessarily the volume, the efficiency, or any of those things. It's how he scores and what he does. Got Jonathan Isaac on an ISO out on an island. That's a good defender with an enormous amount of length. Tough to score on ISO. He got a layup. And he got him because he had him on skates, just quick, blew right by him. He had a pull up on Jonathan Isaac later. He had that fake pass where he froze John. I mean, I guess it was all Jonathan Isaac. He was picking. now that I go through it, it's really one guy. But those are the things to me where I'm that's the most important thing. And in the playoffs, he was doing 12 of those a game, maybe 15. He's only doing 2, 3, 4 of those a game right now, but he was doing 0 in November and December. And I just look at that and I go, that's why I think he is actually very close to being back to his best self. Is those plays are so important to getting to breaking the defense.
That's breaking it. There's enough layers now that just makes it how do you guard them? He can freeze the big. He can hit that jumper. There's 2-man games now. Again, I do think they're on a quest for the optimal balance, but that's a good thing. It's because you've introduced another playmaker into this ecosystem. I think now they're kind of getting back to that place where you may feel like you want to funnel them into a certain type of offense. They have counters. And I think Murray's back to that place now of, all right, I guess we'll just concede that shot, but he's hitting them. And that's when Denver becomes unguardable. And that is, there's this weird thing with Murray where to start the year when he's not the best version of himself, it does feel like the more Murray, the worse off the team is. But by the time he actually is hitting these shots, you go, that's the optimal path because that makes you unguardable. It's like in the beginning of the year, they needed more Russ. They needed more Mike. I wanted to see it. We got it. But now that Murray's kind of back to this guy, you're sort of going, yep, that's the version of this team that as a defense, you go, nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do except hope they miss.
I'm super pumped on the Nuggets, man. People were asking me the other day, how high are you? I was like, I'm pretty high, man, for a couple reasons.
Live well.
All 25 locations.
And I want to get into them on the other side as we talk about the brightest timeline, because sometimes you do that and you're like, it's a long shot. And sometimes you do it and you go, I kind of think that's the timeline we're on. And a lot of these are starting to line up. We'll get to that on the other side.
How about our friends at Breckenridge Brewery, guys? Our friends at Breckenridge Brewery. They're the official craft beer of DNVR. The official craft beer of DNVR. And as a friend and employee of D-Lines, I understand the importance of branding. I think Breckenridge Brewery does one of the best jobs in
He gets branding
in the entire, not as much as you do.
Well, no. That's through our friendship.
Right. I understand how important it is. And Brett gets it right. I honestly, they really do. Like they have the way that they have all these different kinds of beers for every occasion, but they have a unique look and can to all of them that makes me want to try it.
That is true. That is a great point.
Especially the West Coast style IPA Ridge Runner.
That's a great beer.
Slick looking beer that tastes even better than it looks.
I haven't had one for a while. I gotta have one.
Yeah,
of
let's
those.
go get one.
You know what I'm in the mood for though?
What's that?
Neapolitan porter.
We got to go to a bar together. I guess we can just go downstairs.
We could go downstairs.
We could go downstairs.
I wish we could do our job like we do in a bar every night.
Check out Breck Brew's new West Coast style IPA, the Ridge Runner. This double dry hop brew is inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails. It creates notes of citrus and pine.
Actually, that's spot on.
Yep. And so again, a beer for every occasion. And if you know what kind of beer you're looking for, you can go to my favorite tool in the world. It's called a Breck Beer Locator. It's real neat. Yeah. You go, here's where I am. Here's the beer I want that you sell. And then they go, okay, well, here's where you go next. And that's just how I like it. I just think it should be that easy. I also want to tell you guys about our friends at Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. It's January. It's cold. My favorite part about Colorado, it's still sunny. What a beautiful,
so true.
Beautiful. You guys don't understand.
Freezing out here.
I understand.
D-Line lived in Boston. When it feels like this, it looks worse. And that's when you want to start, as Adam alluded to earlier, finding bridges. But in Colorado, man, the seasonal depression, it's like, I don't care that it's cold. It's gorgeous.
Oh, totally.
I'm so Colorado pilled, you guys. And I'm also Shady Rays pilled. It's an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. Rated 5 stars by over 300,000 of people. They have hundreds of options. It's affordable. It's risk-free when you shop. And they probably have your favorite in stock. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Okay, we're back.
I saw somebody in the chat, Yakoslav, go, wow, Nick Richards saving Suns, 30-point triple-double tonight. So I looked it up like, are you kidding me? And of course not. He has 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist.
I love that you looked it up. That's
I did
awesome.
too.
Well, I was just like,
I did too.
I was like, what?
I did too. Yeah, the score currently 97-70.
That was a good one. That was a good one. The brightest timeline, fellas. I want to give you a series of things, and maybe you can add to the brightest timeline. I mean, we all have our different vision for what the brightest is.
Minus 24.
I mean, of course. Come on.
30
Here's where I'm going to start. Here's where I'm going to start. The brightest timeline is that Jamal Murray actually has his best season ever.
Wow. All
Now-
right, where's my Shady Rays?
Well, now here's the thing. Regular season, that's probably going to be a tough ask. Although he kind of does this every year. It's not like he's ever great in November, December ever. It's not like we're the challenges here or there. But he has had some great Januaries, Februarys, March, April, Mays, and Junes. And I look at it and I go, there was a stat. I can't remember who put it out, and I had to look it up to confirm. Murray has only ever averaged 30 points per game over a 3-game span 3 times in his career. Not had 30 in a row 3 times in a row. Averaged it over the span of 3 games. Only 3 times. Once right before they won a championship. Once right before he injured his knee.
Right.
And then once very recently, last week. And I look at that and I go, it's just possible that his ceiling is actually higher than ever before if he can get to that moment. So we're far from it. I'm just saying that Jamal Murray, people have been talking about injuries. He washed this or that. I've maintained my position. He wasn't in shape. He wasn't taking it as seriously enough. I honestly believe that. But as he always does, he gets into form. So brightest timeline. Is it wild to think that Jamal Murray could actually be better than ever?
No, it's not wild at all.
Because he's not washed. This idea that his knee has given out on him, he can't do it. I just don't buy that. I don't think that is true.
It's not true. We've seen it. As soon as somebody shows you who they are, you should believe them. Famous quote. Jamal Murray has shown you he's never going to have a good first part of the season.
He's the guy the chat hates until January.
I went on this whole thing. Yes, every bad thing that has been said about Jamal Murray is 100% correct. And yet, here he is on the team, getting better in a way that has been super frustrating. And it's sort of you just kind of you just have to reset in your mind and be like, I hate that he approaches this way. But I also feel like this season, more than others, was really colored by an injury. His knee has clearly been bothering him.
Again, I personally.
I mean,
okay.
We know inside information this. It's not just speculation, but I do think that his especially for the first part of the season, the fact that one day he got really good, and it was, as he said himself, attributed to using anti-inflammatories. So to me, that says okay, his knee was bothering him. Also mixed with the fact that he wasn't in shape. Now he's in shape. But the reason that I think that he can be better is that now he's wiser. Now he has the thinking part of the game, and he still is not. He still, if the last 5 games or week is to be believed, still has his athleticism about him. So if you can combine those two elements, you can actually be incredibly lethal in this league. So it's not. I'm not betting on it, but it's not at all off the table.
Let me reframe real quick. Best season, forget that, because then it encompasses everything. What I really had written down was best run ever. He's about to start the best 6-month run of his career, or whatever you want to phrase it.
I'll probably say no, because the playoff run was incredible.
It really was.
It was incredible. It was
the greatest run that's ever been.
Yeah, both of those, right? That's Hall of Fame basketball from a guy who hasn't even made an All-Star team. So I was laughing earlier, not laughing because I'm laughing because Jamal Murray. You know what I mean? Because this is a guy who was getting killed to start the year. And now that he's putting it all together, you wonder what the ceiling is. This has been our experience. I don't know about best run. I mean, best regular season run. Here's the key: is extending it past February. I've done the research and I've looked and I've written on this. Jamal every month gets more efficient and scores more points up until February when he peaks in the regular season, and it kind of falls off again. And then the postseason starts. Where are we? Consistency. This is awesome, but if he does it for 3 months, that would be his best regular season stretch ever. Actually, I'm just not holding my breath for that. That said, we needed to see him look the part. We needed to see that guy is still in there. And we certainly have. And so my confidence for him in the postseason and the Nuggets is up considerably.
I just think it's on the table, man. To your point, when he's had good runs, they've either stopped, usually because of an injury or something like that. But I just think it's possible that he is ascending. And if there's no injury, knock on wood, if he is able to just stay in shape, be healthy, no interruptions, I don't see a reason why. We see Jamal do this every year where he gets on a heater and it can be 8 games in a row. And that obviously lifts everything up. I think Jamal's close. And like I said, these ISOs, the pick and roll game, it's closer than I think people probably realize. And then if we have a good 2-week stretch here over it, I actually would predict that it will be his best February through June run of his career. Next one, Jokic's best run ever. How about this?
Yes.
Another brightest timeline. Well, hold on. You just said this for Murray. Yoke's had some crazy runs.
Yoke looks better. Yoke looks better. Yoke looks better. His 3-point shot. His 3-point shot, actually.
Yep.
Now he's number 2 in the league, though.
He's not even taking him lately.
You are right. You are right that Yoke's title run, we're so used to it. It's flawless.
What if we look back and we almost don't? Yeah,
but
you're right. It's possible though that.
But yeah, I mean, Jokic looks better somehow. So I'm just gonna say yes. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna be the guy to put a ceiling on Jokic. I'd rather be wrong the other way.
No kidding. I mean, the only reason maybe that he wouldn't hit that is because he's so interested in getting the rest of the team up to the level they need to be at, so he defers maybe more than we want him to. Although that could be argued that then even the facilitating is part of his game, so he's still at the height. I mean, it is like until Jokic shows us a reason to believe that he is not going to keep ascending, it's silly to say anything but.
How about Russ just sustains what he's been doing through the playoffs? I do think there's some playoff concerns, but I also think that Jokic makes up for a lot of it. And right now, you could make a very easy argument that Russ has been the second or third most important Nugget. I think the brightest timeline probably has Jokic as the most important Nugget, Jamal as the second most important Nugget, and then take your pick, Russ, AG, MPJ, just like pick your poison. One of them is going to be the third best guy in every game. But Russ sustains and right now is at that same level.
Absolutely. First of all, I think very on the table. I'm buying it.
You're buying that it will happen.
I'm buying it because I don't think this is contingent upon, Russ shot really well from the right corner or the wing. Or I think Russ and Jokic have figured out how to play with each other. Now in a playoff environment when everyone's dialed in and the space, there's some questions. But right now I'm buying it. And I'm guilty as anyone of kind of buying too much into small pocket things that are happening digitally. Twitter and stuff like that. But man, these Westbrook stan accounts cannot believe how good their lives are. They cannot believe
it's good to be us.
They can't believe how good Jokic is.
Are they going to issue a formal apology to me specifically?
Probably
for
not.
Calling me racist.
Probably not.
You have issued an apology to them on behalf of Russ. Like,
I did.
You love Russ, so you would expect them that they should
I would
return
expect
the
that it would come the
favor.
other direction. They've spent so many years, coming at us, whatever, and now they're on our same side. Just acknowledge that, it's better over here.
But they can't believe how good Jokic is. I can't either, and I have a front row seat. And so, yeah, man, this would just be. We always joked about Ben Simmons as Apex Mountain for this, but really Westbrook is right up there as.
Ben Simmons wouldn't be as fun as this.
No, this is
even if it worked.
This is unbelievable. This is and look, man. Was Westbrook in some suboptimal roles? Yes. He is also an age 36 guard who's past his prime. And for him to be as good as he's been is remarkable.
What about this brightest timeline, though? Because he has a player option. Brightest timeline. This is Hotbox and Hot Takes brightest timeline. This is winning the title this year. Russ has a player option. Everyone's like, man, he's going to get paid. He's like, nah, I just kind of like it here.
The first guy to do it.
Yeah, the first guy, he's like, I've made $800 million.
Made a lot of money.
Denver's fun, man. I want to finish my career here.
I mean, don't you think he's kind of doing that now in that he's still in the NBA? He has tons of money. He's took a vet minimum because he just still wants to play at a high
They win a
level.
title this year and he keeps this up. Somebody's offering him like 3 years.
A lot of money.
That's
He's going to
true,
make more money.
I guess I'm just saying, though, that it doesn't seem like money is necessarily the number one motivator for him in his life. So it's not. It's completely on the table. It's completely on the
It
table.
is completely on the table. I will say there was something too. The Nuggets could have traded for him in LA, but I know that part of it was he wanted to get traded so he'd get bought out in a second contract, at least I'd heard some of this stuff. So, or at least that was highly motivation. So I don't know if money's nothing, but at the same time, it would be such a great story if Russ was like, you know what, this year was way more fun than those max contract years.
Yeah, I actually enjoy my life.
Yeah, I actually had a great life and I want to be here. So I like it. Our brightest timeline has Russ not just winning a championship, but finishing out his career. Like how Peyton Manning is not a Colt, even though most of his career was there. He's a Bronco. It'd be crazy if Russ was like, yeah, I'm a Nugget.
Yeah, dude. By the way, I have a really
is he
big
a Thunder currently?
He's a Thunder for sure, guys.
I was thinking, until he wins a title and Beastbrook tweets, we're Denver Nuggets for life. And then it's locked in. By the way, this real quick tangent. I have one hardcore Colts fan in my life. And one time I asked him,
more than everybody else.
One time I asked him, I was like, "Is it bum you out that Peyton Manning, really chose Denver?" And he was like, "He did? Like he had no idea. So buried in delusion. He's like, I don't know if that's true." And I was like, "Never mind, man.
Yeah. You're like, you're right.
Yeah, you can have it. You can have it.
Maybe
his tie's orange and he lives here, but you can have it.
Let's take a break. On the other side, more brightest timeline things that might just hit.
Shout out Red Hawk Roofing. Denver's best roofers have joined the DNVR team. Guys, they're also partners of the Nuggets. Now you get proud when you see them on the broadcast. I did.
I feel like we did it somehow.
Yeah, even though it's really about them and their accomplishments, and that's and their success as a business. But I do feel proud to see our homies represented, and we represent them proudly here on this program. Denver's best roofers, of course, they've joined the DNVR team. Qualities, materials, decades of experience, quick response time, Colorado's best estimators and contractors, huge DNVR supporters, and I always say this. When you get an offer, free, no obligation, to have someone go up on your roof, check out the damage, see if you need any work, take them up on it, because this is an industry where you could get ripped off easily. You may not know how it works. You may not know how damaged your roof really is. Red Hawk Roofing, they care so much about doing right by you, so that's their reputation in the community. And that means more to them than pinching pennies, you know what I mean? Hail season is here, so don't wait to take care of any issues before big storms hit. Supporting your local teams means supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921. Tell them DNVR sent you. Tell them Brendan Vogt sent you.
Yeah.
Tell them Brendan Vogt sent you. Speaking of all these big time sponsors, Toyota. We're actually not hanging out in the Toyota Lounge today. That's downstairs, being used by the
Toyota Lounge.
Colorado Avalanche, who are playing. Are they winning? Does anyone know?
I saw some tweets that said like, not trying hard enough.
Yeah. That could mean anything though. That doesn't tell us anything about this. Yeah, exactly. Here's what I do know. Toyota's the official vehicle of DNVR. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA for generations. They've built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. I always feel like that's a description of Jokic. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there's a Toyota truck that's just right for you, like the all-new 2024 Tacoma and the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe in Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Beep, beep.
All right, we are back here, segment 3. Throw us a like if you guys are watching it. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new. The next one I have on my board here, and I kind of put these almost in order of importance. I put PWat ascending here. I'm on my block about PWat. I just think that he's so important to the health of this team. And we were talking about beating the Thunder and what that would look like. I just don't see that happening without him being a major piece of it. And so he's the one guy that I think is still like him and Julian both are guys that I'm just not 100% confident. But at least on PWat's side, to me, it's more about the Nuggets still have to figure him out. But to me, the brightest timeline is that PWat ascends to this undeniable level of play where it's like, of course he plays every single night. Of course he plays in every playoff series. And in some matchups, he might be the most important defensive player on the floor. So for me, it's kind of like a big moment, but a big one. But brightest timeline to me is no doubt Peyton Watson ascends to monster defensive status.
He's started. He's already started. He's on a streak of blocks, getting a block every game. I guess
he's
just won next
defensively.
The few blocks that he got last game were not just.
I think he had the top play in the NBA's top 10 with that block, by the way.
Might have been my favorite one, too. It was the favorite in terms of highlights because it's so dope to attack somebody with two hands like that.
He got it with his elbos, too.
Nobody
He's like, no chance, brother.
Like that. But the one on Paolo Banchero was just as impressive in terms of like, if you can do that. Paolo Banchero is a all-star caliber scorer.
Yeah.
All-star caliber scorers don't get blocked like that. You know?
But and it's not just that he's blocking, but like blocks like that send a message. Like that's where the other team starts to think about oh God, where's Peyton? Not quite the Wembanyama effect, but at least it's in the back of your mind that coming from the weak side, there could be a guy, streaking across, and you have to at least consider him. And he just looks better and better, more confident. Like I feel like, as far as he's concerned, we need to get a little bit of his wild streak out of him still a little bit
on offense.
On offense and sometimes on defense, transition for sure. I think it's mostly whenever he has personally on offense for sure. Whenever he puts the ball to the floor, you're like, oh God. And whenever he's in transition, but just in general, he's just playing a little bit more within himself. I think is going to do wonders, and he's just getting better and more mature.
I do liken it almost to the podcast. We did a full hour, and I threw it to you once a segment, but you never knew when it was coming. And then it was just you got 10 seconds here to do it.
That is the podcast.
We go around the horn. We share the ball around. Everybody gets it.
Oh, come on. Come on. The offense is really spread. It's egalitarian these days. It's a new offense.
I still.
It's funny, though.
I think PWat needs to finish in transition. I have almost no faith, and it doesn't make sense to me that he's that bad. He doesn't finish at the rim very well either. He misses shots at the rim. Those to me are the areas.
He doesn't acknowledge the surround. He just is like, I'm gonna finish this, and he's not actually looking at what's happening.
But those two areas, again, like I just think there's a confidence that comes with, like Russ has not finished at the rim for 4 years. He comes here, and all of a sudden he gets a little confidence in him. The paint's opening up, and it's like he's finishing everything. Russ all of a sudden looks like an elite finisher at the rim. And I just think it's rhythm, it's confidence, it's all those things. And him ascending, PWat ascending is a big part of this.
Yeah, and knowing what to do, doing it with with the right pace and comfort level. And I mean, the reason to buy PWat in the postseason is it would be more minutes alongside Jokic, which, as you and I, Adam, have spent most of the year kind of articulating, was going to be PWat's hurdle this year. He may develop as an individual. He's not always going to get these minutes alongside Jokic, especially when Gordon's healthy. So that's part of it. I like the little signs of growth of him learning how to play the game. There was the matchup, I'm not going to remember now. They were fronting Jokic, the game where Peyton Watson had 5 assists in the first half. And they were fronting Jokic, and PWat flashed, and the high-low pass. Like little things like that of you don't have to ever be the man, but can, as the fifth guy out there, can you recognize, okay, they're playing us a certain way. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. And that's why these minutes matter. You know, people will joke about the regular season. It matters so much for Denver right now because they are developing 30% of their rotation.
The other thing is that Peyton Watson is the age that Christian Brown was when he came into the league. Yeah. You know, there's also this other thing about, you know, you would hope that means that there's a headroom here for him that could be steep. And to me, with young players, the highs are almost more important than the averages because the highs show you, okay, that's what's possible. And his highs are just so high. Julian Strawther has his best run of the year, is also on the brightest timeline. I mean, look, I'm big on my pragmatic self talks about I don't think that he's going to be ready by this playoff, so I have to factor that in when we think there's a window to win the championship this year. But the brightest timeline certainly is that he gets there because you like your guys and you want to see him play. And the brightest timeline for me is definitely that he just starts making everything. I think we're kind of getting there. I think most of it's in garbage time right now, but you know what? That matters because you need to see the ball go through the net.
I think the ultimate example of why he could absolutely be ready for the playoffs is Jordan Poole. He is Jordan Poole. Like, he plays that way. He's not as knuckleheaded as Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole, when he got hot against the Nuggets, absolutely eviscerated them.
Sometimes that's all you need is one series where you were good in 2 games.
You need one guy that just can get hot as the sun. We've not seen him reach those heights yet, of course, but you are starting to see and start, at least me, I'm starting to feel a lot more confidence when he lets the ball go. I'm wanting him to shoot. I'm wanting him to get into the offense more and start letting the ball fly more. And that is the style of player that you can model him after. And you know what that looks. We know what that looks like. That's something he can definitely achieve.
This one achievable. Best run of the year is coming up.
Achievable, yes. I'm not holding my breath for it.
Dang, votes negative as hell today.
By the way, for 2 months, I've been so high on the Nuggets. But as you break it down piece by piece.
You're really high on Jokic, though? Yeah, is that right? Okay. I think we solved it. How about this one, man? It's just that CB makes his threes when it matters. Because I don't know that CB's ever going to be a consistent, good three-point shooter. I think we would have seen it a little bit more by now.
Yeah, no chance.
But you know what happens, though? Sometimes you just get in a playoff series and a guy hits 4 in a row, and the other team is like, "You've got to be kidding me."
Yeah, I've seen that.
And I just think that to me is almost the brightest time, because CB's solid at everything else. Great in transition, cuts incredibly well, screens hard, defends really well. It's just you get 1, 2, maybe 3 games in a playoff series where he's 4 for 4.5, and the other team's like, "Are you kidding me?"
That would absolutely kill me as a fan of the other team.
It is going to happen. It's totally going to happen.
I love it.
He's going to be open.
He's going to be open. He's not going to have a great 3-point shooting rest of the season. We should never expect that from him. But yes, he has that in him. We've seen him do it. I can't believe we're going to win the title. This is so dope.
I love that Eric is in on every single one of these so far.
Dude. Listen, I'm feeling it, man. The Nuggets are they're floating up, man.
Here's my last one, and I phrased it wrong in this one, but you always forget about the guys that are injured. You literally forget about them.
Yeah.
The Mile High Flyer is there. The brightest timeline is that you really need. What does Denver need? A big man who can help protect the rim and a shooter, like a 3-and-D player. But that usually you think of that as perimeter D. But what if it is powerful? What if the Mile High Flyer is actually the backup center for the Nuggets? And it's like, oh yeah, we have that 40% corner 3-point shooter that blocks the shots. And next year he's just a dope piece of it. I love this idea of Gerard. We haven't talked about him all year. The Mile High Flyer.
My hypothesis is the reason that they were interested in Chris Boucher is because he reminds them of the Mile High Flyer. That's a great take. That Calvin Booth was like, I wanted this style of player, and it got stolen from me. Who else is the closest approximate to the Mile High Flyer? We're only using that name from this point forward. He has no name. He is the Mile High Flyer.
It's the best nickname.
I'm still stuck on the Ron.
Yeah, well,
you're on an island with that one, but I appreciate your commitment. Yeah, dude. Well, this certainly was the plan. As we go, don't invest any more resources in backup center. They thought, well, a late first-round pick, this should work out. Oh, he tore his Achilles, so that was the plan. Yeah, I'll say yes. Also, because he's been on this show, and we need a new friend of the show so bad.
So bad.
So bad.
The Mile High Flyer.
We get a lot of enemies of the show these days.
Those are brightest time. Is there anything else that's brightest timeline for you? I mean, obviously, Mike's playing well. To me, I'm just like, Mike's playing well. I don't know what else to say.
For three, it's the playoffs. Here's the thing. He did it against the Lakers. And he's
just been up and down.
And the first three games against the Wolves, he was great. But when they needed him, he was horrible. So I just think and even in the playoff run, I thought he rebounded well, defended well, like did good things, but didn't shoot well in the Heat series. So I do think he still kind of has this, he's going to shrink in the postseason reputation. If he can eradicate that, that would go a long way.
Yeah, my feeling with Mike is that I don't feel like you can count on him, but I don't feel like you could ever count him out.
That's
and I
so
just
well
know
said,
when he is on, it's just it's like the death lineup. Like that, you just have no chance. If we get to, we've seen it happen 3 games total where Jamal, Mike, and Jokic were on, and the 3 of them just playing off of each other is absolute decimation for the other team. There's just nothing they can do.
Yeah. Any other things for you? That's the brightest timeline.
The only other thing for me is that I still think that they need to solve the starting lineup.
Yeah, and
I think adding Russell Westbrook to the starting lineup is the correct play.
Yeah,
and I think that the brightest timeline then becomes
Aaron Gordon.
That starting lineup is even better than it has been in the past, which is crazy to think.
But also not that crazy. I was looking it up because I think that the lineup, it hasn't played. I think it's only played a handful of minutes. Yeah, it's only played a handful of minutes together. So we don't really have enough data to say one way or another about what it looks like. But I am intrigued. I am intrigued. 48 minutes is what it's played together. It's a plus 17, which is, to your point, better. But that's such a small sample size, you can't really say anything.
I just think I see that and I'm like, my God.
Also, Aaron Gordon has not been at peak performance yet this year. Murray has not been at peak performance.
Aaron Gordon hasn't played.
That's what I'm saying. So these minutes aren't we're getting the best AG, best Murray. I do think you're getting the best MPJ, Jokic, and Russ. But there's more to that. And so that lineup could be one of those ones that we look back on and we're like, oh yeah, nobody could guard that lineup. It was just unstoppable.
So beautiful.
So this is a little fanfic, but if we're talking brightest timeline,
we're doing fanfic.
Yeah, we talked about this in the office earlier, but Bruce Brown gets bought out by the Raptors and comes back and wins another title.
Does this feel? It is totally dope. I will say, does this feel a little bit like? It's almost like when a sitcom has somebody from another sitcom into it. Remember they used to do this in the 90s?
Simpsons is a Family Guy?
Yeah, where you're almost like, oh, that was the old era Nuggets, and then the new one comes together. It would be awesome.
God damn.
Brightest timeline for J.K. Walrus would be if D-Line inherits a pair of Jokic's shoes that were struck by lightning and then give him magical basketball powers, and he teams up with Jokic for rings 2, 3, and 4.
Dude, that would be so sick.
That would also be on my brightest timeline.
That got Magic mic'd.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be so sick. Why is that not on my brightest timeline?
The Jokic D-Line 2-man game. It's just an unstoppable.
How low is my self-esteem? I didn't even consider that for myself.
Adam, I know you have this kind of as a separate topic in the rundown. fourth MVP would be on my brightest timeline.
Is it?
Oh, it is.
How
It's
important
not-
is it to you?
Not that actually.
But
Especially right
that's
now.
a bright ass timeline.
But
though.
if we're going,
it's a bright ass
if
timeline.
we're going brightest timeline,
You know
give me the
what?
fourth.
Here's
I'll
the,
get
here's the
greedy.
thing I'll say, man. People say that like, oh, he needs to win it for this reason or this, or it's the last chance or last opportunity. Remember Yoke won 2, didn't win the third one, but won a title, and it almost like automatically gave him the next one because they were like, well, he should have got the last one. He's the best player by far. And it almost opened up a new MVP window to him in a weird way. His MVP window almost closed.
It had.
And then it was like,
He
oh,
got
now
Giannis.
it's everyone belongs to him. I just feel the same thing would happen if he doesn't win it this year, but the Nuggets won a title. I just think you would default to he's probably winning it next year and the year after that.
That is a bright timeline. But the brightest timeline
4
is
and
that he
5
gets
years, I
the
think.
title and the MVP and the finals MVP. And he comes on the show. He and I started playing 2-man game like that guy suggested. That's a very bright timeline.
We get invited to a pool party at the Jokic residence.
I get kicked out of the Jokic house
That would be incredible.
forcibly by his brothers.
Let's wrap up today's show because I want to ask a couple like how many's here, and I'm just kind of curious what you
6.
think.
You go first.
Yeah, do you want me to set the stage on these
Yeah.
first? Jokic has 18 triple doubles. We're at the halfway point. His record is 29. He's on pace to beat it. But more than that, I feel like with this new lineup, the triple doubles are coming easier to him, not harder. There's
Yeah.
a part of me that goes, third quarter triple doubles, Nuggets up 20. I just kind of, they're going to do that, I think, a handful of times. And then the tough triple doubles he'll also get. So what do you think that final number is?
His high mark's 29, right?
29. He's at 18.
And it was halfway in the season.
I think we're at 42 games.
And I did look at this with his games played in the years that he had more triple doubles. I'm gonna say 31.
Just barely.
I'm gonna say 2 more. I'm gonna say 31. I'm gonna say 31.
That's just barely over.
It's a lot of triple doubles.
It is a lot of triple doubles. But he also gets himself.
He's going way over. 32.
You guys suck. Is that your new number? When we went to the year, I said 20. I think I said 25 because we did this on the pre-show because I thought it would be a little bit below. But I'm
Yeah,
like,
we
no
did.
way, man.
No, at this
25.
point.
I would come on.
Well, he's got more in the third quarter than any other team.
Marco's asking if we could fix our Coors Light. We don't turn it on because it's too bright.
I think he means that. Yeah, that's better. Oh,
We could.
I'll fix
the
it
angle.
afterwards.
It's just really bright.
No. So what are you going? Really, 32?
No, I don't know. Like
Do you think you'll have more or fewer in the back half?
more.
So you're going to
He's
go like 36, 37,
Yes.
38?
Yes.
What's the number?
34.
It's like doing the bit.
34. Well, I mean, like
Give a number,
the
Eric.
spirit of the bit is it going to be better or worse?
No, the bit's literally how many?
yeah. The spirit actually
But the
is the
spirit
answer.
of the bit
Literal
is like,
number.
will he is he still growing? Yes, he's going to get 36.
I'm gonna need a number. 36.
Yeah, 36. I'll go with 33.
Okay.
I do think that
Very measured.
Yeah, very measured. I'm going to go 33, but I think there's a chance that the number's actually like 40. That it's just like he gets
if
it
he
almost
gets
every
40,
time.
the highest ever is Russ, and he did it in 2016 with 42. So if he gets
Four,
there,
he did 42.
Yeah.
42
He had a lot
triple
of
doubles.
I gotta be honest, man. I have really done a lot of revisionist understanding of Russell Westbrook, and I'm like, I know that there were some. I watched him grab some rebounds.
Yeah.
I get it, but holy shit, I don't care if you're stat padding or not. 42, and then we look at Jokic, and we know he's a center, and in my opinion, like one of the 5 greatest players of all time. But we're like, can he average a triple double? Can he average? Russ did it 3 times. That is insane.
If you really want to know Yoke stats, here's what's crazy. He has 3 in a row. Before that, Sombor double. Before that, triple double. Before that, Sombor double. Before that, Sombor double. Before that, 2 triple doubles in a row. So he's gotten either a triple double or Sombor double all the way since December.
Right. And that's really the question. It's not, is Jokic going to come close to triple double? It's will he get the last rebound or not in enough times?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like, oh, they were so far ahead. He had to sit out.
I think if
He's got 3 in a row, though. Remember, the crazy prediction was 5 in a row?
Yeah.
He got that already. He might do it again.
if Jamal is shooting well, because I think the assists right now are just so easy. I don't think they're.
What?
We're so in. We're just like so in. Like
we're so in.
Everything is just like, oh. I mean, is that enough? I mean,
What is 100 triple doubles?
To be fair, it's pretty hard to do a brightest timeline segment and not be.
I know, but we're feeling it. Like we're actually
Right,
feeling
exactly.
it. Like,
Exactly. The fact that we're doing this segment is
Oh my
really.
God.
All right, now here's the great one. There have been 2 triple duos. or doubles, whatever you want to call them.
He did it 4 times?
It's already happened twice that Russ and Jokic have had a triple-double in the same game. How many will they finish with this year? How many more will there be?
1.
There's one
One
more.
more, so that's 3 total.
Just 1. I mean, like, again, like Russ's usage is going to tail off a little bit unless Jamal's
Will
out of
it?
the lineup.
Will it? Okay.
I mean, like, it's just it's we're seeing it a little bit. So a
The
triple double is a
rebounds,
lot.
the rebounds are kind of hard, to be honest, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it's I don't know.
when AG's back, there's just not that many
I
rebounds
just
for
see
us.
one more happening.
Russ did it in 4 seasons. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Sorry. But no, I think right now it's the assists for Jokic are rolling in a way we haven't seen since the early days.
I'm going to go 4. I think, or 2 more. I think there's going to be 2 more. I think the season's going to be exactly in half. So I'm going to go that it.
I'll go
that it
three.
happens.
I'm
I'll go
sorry.
3. I'll go
My
there.
cowardly take of 1 was
Yeah,
trumped
that's
by yours
That-
2.
Twice as many. Did I not go twice? Is that not big, Kill?
That is
double. I doubled
It is
his
double.
number.
Yeah.
Wow,
That is
dude. Seriously? You think once?
I'm conservative. You know what I mean?
I'm with D-line. I think it happens one more time.
Here's an interesting one. How many games will Aaron Gordon come off of the bench? Because Malone has hinted that it's like going to be for a while. We don't think it's permanent, but how many games? How many more games, I should say?
Oh man, I don't know, which I know is not what you're asking me to say.
No, it wasn't.
I think it's until the minutes restriction's up. Like I don't think this is something they're going to stick with. I know we've talked about how good of a look it is. I'm going to say 4 more games. And that was determined by science and math. I'm going to say 4 more games.
I feel like he's going to stay on the bench until after the All-Star break.
That's 13 games.
Yeah.
That's a lot of games.
That is a lot of games.
I just think they want time to like re-establish, and I do think that they found like a really good thing, obviously, by putting starters on the bench, making the bench a lot better, and it's just making life a lot easier for everybody. They're just blowing teams out right now.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there is a big rush to do it, even though I would prefer if they would stop kicking the can down the road and just address the conversations to whether or not they need to. We have adorable Girl Scouts trying to sell us cookies. Everyone's very distracted. I'm still trying to talk. Allie doesn't care. Allie doesn't. I just forgot what we do here. Yeah, it's really lost sight. But I just don't think. I don't think that Malone and everybody feels the burn to get Aaron Gordon back into the starting lineup because he himself doesn't seem to be, caring about that.
I agree with you. 13, I think it's after the All-Star break, but I also just think there's a chance that the Nuggets are rolling here. And like, look, Manu Ginobili was the 2nd or 3rd best Spur for a lot of that run, came off the bench. I know that's a very unique circumstance, and I think that the Nuggets need Aaron Gordon in the playoffs, and I don't know that it makes sense to bring him off the bench permanently. I just don't know. At the same time, the rotation is the hardest part, and Michael Malone has always frustrated me because he's had these like hockey shift rotations, and AG coming off the bench has maybe single-handedly fixed that, where he like knows AG's not a bench player, so he brings him in, and it makes for a rotation. And I just think there might be a world where it's like that. It might be a thing, man. I don't know.
Does it jeopardize the rest of your rotation to start AG and then work that hard to get him as off the bench anyway?
I think you have to experiment with both, and that's why I think it goes through the All-Star break. You get a big sample size, and then after that, they probably go back and get a sample size. But it could be a thing where they just get to the end of the year, and AG's like, you know what, it's best this way. We look better,
and
we do it, and I'm cool with it. I'm still going to play 33 minutes a game, and I'm going to close. Right. But and by the way, the Nuggets between now and the All-Star break, they got the Sixers. Knock on wood, anybody can beat you, but no Embiid. That team is a disaster. They've lost 6 in a row. You got the Kings on Thursday. I love that game. It's at home. That's going to be a great game. The Kings are on fire. Their vibe is back. They're always tough. At Minnesota is tough. And then you go on the road. Chicago, New York, Philadelphia. Maybe Embiid plays that one. Charlotte. Then you have New Orleans twice at home. Orlando at home. You go to Phoenix, Portland, Charlotte. That's your upcoming games. Honestly, there's like 5 tough ones in there. There's a lot of there's a lot of like, I'm not saying easy, but a lot of teams that Denver will be favored in. And I just look at that and go, this is your chance right now to just really solidify the vibe of this team going into the break.
It is absolutely their chance. And guys, it is a trend. And going back to the 2021 season, there are some exceptions. There are some hot starts. There are some good Marches, some good Decembers, but the constant is the back-to-back of January, February. Denver wins a lot of games. That's what they do every year. And the schedule is set up for them to do it again. They've had a great January. The schedule is set up for them to do it again through February. The one thing, though, that is like this team has shown a little bit of a lower floor in these games against bad teams, games at home, games that 2 years ago, wins, write it down with pen before it starts. Now you're not as sure. So they have to get this right? They have to prove that they have matured as a team from October to now and take care of business in games they should be favored to win. Because if they do, this is the stretch where Denver becomes a 3rd or 2nd seed out west.
Yeah, we're going streaking, boys. We are going streaking.
I love it, man.
It's time, man. It's time. Like all of the stars are aligning. All of the things are coming together. The vibes are right. The time is now. We're doing it.
Let's do it. All right, we have some super chats today, Cal. Yes, sir. What are the people's talking about?
Chris Peters, there are 13 games until the All-Star break. What do you guys predict their record will be going into the break?
13-0.
I was going to say 13 more wins than they have right now. What is their record?
I told you. So you got at Minnesota will be tough. I'm ready for that game, though,
like
baby. On
9-4,
Saturday,
10-4.
I'm so ready. On ABC, by the way.
Okay, so let's do this.
At New York's tough. I'll
scientifically.
count that as a loss.
Yeah, put that in a loss. They'll lose 3 or 4 of these games. Right?
I think if Orlando at home can be tough. I know they just beat them, but that wasn't the real Orlando. Orlando will be desperate at that point. Phoenix at Phoenix. I mean, maybe. Dude, honestly, Denver's going to be underdogs in probably 3 games between now and the All-Star break. It doesn't mean they'll win them all, but they'll be underdogs in 3.
Yeah. I think they probably only lose 3 or 4 games in this stretch. They have
You
to.
do have a back-to-back at Charlotte. I feel like that's a game Denver always drops because you have the at Philly game, which is an emotional high if Embiid plays.
Yeah.
That's a big game, and then you go to at Charlotte the next night.
The first time you beat Charlotte, then you play them again the second time. Like MPJ's not.
Yeah, they're
locked
gonna have-
in, you
they're
know?
gonna-
I think they'll lose 4. I think
They're
they'll
gonna
go
have
9 and 4.
They'll have 10 more wins, 3 more losses, which will put them at 36-19.
Which isn't a great record going into the All-Star break, man. The vibes would be fully restored.
What else do we got here? Kale, Cedric, Exquisite, no Adam, no Eric. Yes, vote. It's USA MLK Day.
That's true. That's just a factual super chat.
No, it's hashtag shut up and take my money. Trade Zeke and Sharich for Daniel Tice. How would that work?
See, that is not a factual super chat.
I've long said this. I'm not into the backup center, man. AG's the backup center in the playoffs.
I know.
DJ's doing fine. He's actually been
He actually
pretty
genuinely
good.
is doing fine, yeah. Druid Trading, we have a 90% win rate when DeAndre Jordan scores 8+ points. I do feel like that's like saying the Nuggets are 8-0 when they score 150 points. Doesn't this show how much better we would be with a decent backup center?
I don't think so. I think that probably that number, just as a raw stat, probably means that DeAndre Jordan was in the game late in a blowout win.
Also,
for at least like a third of those.
Also, doesn't that show that he's good enough?
Yeah, exactly.
Scoring 8 points, we win.
Denver's bench sneaky not a problem right now.
Because it's Aaron Gordon.
Maddox, welcome back, Adam. Are you expecting a deadline move? Hashtag all the Nuggets are good.
I am. I think it's a small one.
What would you hypothesize?
I think the Chris Boucher thing is interesting in part because I don't think it costs you very much.
Yeah.
You know, I was trying to put this together. You got Darko, Serbian coach.
Okay.
You know, Boucher's like, he loves Boucher. You see, you Google all these great quotes, loves him. Could he be trying to sell Yoke on this? You know, maybe heard some whispers that he's like, hey, you're going to love this guy. The other thing is Masai Ujiri, Nigerian. Zeke Naji, Nigerian, has the foundation. Masai Ujiri, very involved in foundations and in grassroots things in Africa. I'm just saying, they for sure know each other.
Yeah.
They for sure know each other. So if anybody was to...
This
this is total conspiracy.
Yeah,
this is totally... I'm connecting some dots here. But I'm just saying, it's not that crazy. Boucher is expiring contract, and they love him. It's almost like it's a gift, you know, like, hey, like
when Kevin McHale gifted Boston Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, but Boucher, it's a small thing. You don't do this for a good player, but Boucher's not that good. And it's like, but he could work out here in the exact role you're saying, the mile high flyer role. So to me, I think that one's at least possible. And then I think that a Holiday, Dennis Smith Jr. player of that caliber gets signed is also possible. So Zeke Pickett and Hunter for Boucher, like those combos work, and then you just add somebody off the waiver wire.
Macahru, the most impressive thing about Orlando game was the will to fight back. We let physical defensive teams bully us last year, including Orlando. To be fair, that was a very beleaguered, tattered Orlando roster. But I do think they've shown more of that stuff of late. Sir Lobo 92. A little bit off topic. Eric, we never got your take on the Jokic-Wemby duel. What was your expert perspective on those two games?
So the first game, I thought that Wemby was pretty dominant in a lot of ways, but in the second game, the Nuggets figured it out. They just bullied him, and he was wildly ineffective coming down the stretch, and he just showed the absolute limitations of Victor Wembanyama, who and
PWat. PWat locked him up that
Yes.
year. He gets a lot of credit.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you were able to see guys that shouldn't be able to bully him, just absolutely put him into
I have to throw to overtime.
into a box.
You got 40 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Worst nightmare. No, Kalen, fellas, not the brightest. We want the chip. Essential part of the brightest timeline, actually, is the chip. Sir Lobo 92.
Pretty essential part.
Kind of
that was implied, but all right.
baked in. It's baked in. The KCP versus Brown game went clearly to Browntown, but his 3-point is still a concern. I think he has bad positioning. His butt is a little too off the rest of his body.
Hey, we'll talk to him about that butt positioning.
Yeah, man, you made some good points. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. It's good to be back. Tomorrow, Nuggets, Sixers, and beat Jokic.
The countdown is on.
Hit that like button on the way out.
Let's go.